Bill 10, proposed by the Progressive Conservatives as a response to Bill 202, is straight up redonkulous. Now, Bill 202 looks to protect the rights of Alberta students by supporting the implementation of gay-straight alliances in schools. Namely, all school boards would be required to develop policies to support students who want to lead and establish gay-straight alliance activities and organizations. Now, in response, Premier Jem Prentice, who can be described as a methed-out George Clooney, announced that the Conservative government would be introducing Bill 10, an act to amend the Alberta Bill of Rights to protect our children. Bill 10 deals with the same issues as Bill 202, but has some pretty big differences. So what are the differences between Bill 202 and Bill 10? Whereas Bill 202 ensures the right of students to create welcoming and safe clubs, such as gay-straight alliances, it's a different process in Bill 10. For Bill 10, a student would be required to approach a staff member to ask for support in the creation of one of these clubs. The staff member could then refuse support to the student. The student would then have to challenge that refusal to the school board. Up until December 2nd, 2014, Bill 10 stated that following a school board's rejection, a student could make an application for judicial review on issues of jurisdiction and unreasonableness. This essentially means that if the school board then refuses the student, then the student can go to court to try to fight for their right to party. More of a support than a party, if anything. But they're still fighting for the right. And fighting for your right means going to court. It means hiring a lawyer. It means appearing in front of a court and fighting for your human rights as a 15-year-old. Which seems like a pretty weird thing to happen in Alberta. I don't know, it's pretty hillbilly-ish if you ask me. So not only would hiring a lawyer and going to court cost an insane amount of money, legal issues take a long time to pan out. So it's likely that by the time something actually changed, the student probably would have graduated a much sadder and less supported person. With that initial announcement of Bill 10, there was some scrutiny and some public outcry, so it was amended. So now, instead of a student being forced to go to court to fight for the right to join a club, it is now passed on to the Minister of Education. Who is the Minister of Education? Gordon Dirks, a former executive pastor at Calgary Centre Street Church, whose statement of theological principles and ministry practices states that the church believes God is dishonored by sexual activity between persons of the same sex. Fantastic! That's great! What is wrong with Bill 202 is my question. What is wrong with human rights? What is wrong with the freedom to be an organization that does nothing wrong? I mean, it's not like gay-straight alliance clubs would go door to door pestering people trying to impose their gay beliefs on them. It's not like gay-straight alliance clubs would travel the world forcing non-members to join, perhaps by reading them a document in a language they don't speak that gave them options of conversion to gayness or death. No, that sounds more like the Catholic Church and the Spanish requirement of 1513. It's not like gay-straight alliances would set up, I don't know, schools, force people out of their homes into these schools, assimilate them into a new culture, and maybe doctrine them with gayness, and then, you know, maybe sexually and physically abuse them. No, that seems more like a residential school. So, if gay-straight alliances aren't going door-to-door pestering people, or, you know, raping and killing people, or indoctrinating them forcibly, what do they do? A 2008 British Columbia Adolescent Health and Survey for grades 8 to 12 found that in schools with gay-straight alliances, the odds of homophobic discrimination and suicidal thoughts were reduced by more than half among lesbian, gay, bisexual boys and girls compared to schools with no gay-straight alliances. There were significantly lower odds of sexual orientation discrimination for heterosexual boys and girls, and heterosexual boys were half as likely to attempt suicide as those in schools without gay-straight alliances. Now, who knows? Maybe you're a sociopath, but in my opinion, those are good things. So, what's the problem? The only answer seems to come from a cultural fear of homosexuality stemming from the historical popularity of Christianity in Canada. Now, maybe you've forgotten of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, this is where it's condemned in the Bible. I found a little excerpt from a children's Bible that I can refresh your memory with. Wait, not the angels. 2 angels came to meet with Lot, the most righteous man in all of Sodom. He gave them food and shelter for the night. All of the men came from the city, circling the house, yelling, "Who are
these men? Bring them outside so that we may rank them.
But Lot refused. No, leave these men alone. But here, take my 2 virgin daughters and do with them whatever you like. Gee, thanks a lot, Lot. Also, as a side note, who's the tenacity to think that you can rape an angel? I mean, you think messengers of God would have some sort of defense against that. Maybe if they all worked together, they could tongue one of the halos, but full-on rape against a 12-foot wingspan? I don't see it happening. On that note, let's cover some other things that the Bible condemns. Eating shellfish, eating mice, ferrets, moles, lizards, and snails. Wearing ripped clothing. Cutting your hair or beard. Getting tattooed or pierced. Planting a mixed garden. It would seem with all these dietary restraints, it would be best to rely on Holy Communion for nourishment purposes. Oh wait, I forgot about Leviticus 10:9, which condemns drinking wine. Better wash that cracker down with a righteous shot of sourpuss. Being a man of God myself, and a future teacher who cares about students, I vote to prevent the following clubs in public schools. The Short-Haired Beardless Shrimp Eaters Straight Alliance Club. The Abercrombie Jeans Lizard Eating Straight Alliance Club. And finally, the Garden More Than One Thing at a Time Straight Alliance Club. If we can just prevent these clubs, or force students who want to join them to go to court, we can finally have righteousness and safety in our schools. For our children. Currently, Bill 202 has been put on hold, but will be revisited sometime in 2015. We can only hope that it is addressed and dealt with as the ridiculous notion that it is. In the meantime, I'll be picketing the Tattooed and Ferret-Eating Straight Alliance Club in the name of safety for our children. I'm Chris Borger.